I think there was, as you said, for a moment, a glimmer in the opinion polls that they might outstrip Macron's centrist majority grouping. And I think that is, in some ways, a disappointment. They will be disappointed also to see those successes for the Rassemblement National. And they find themselves in a position where, they are going to find themselves essentially in combat with Rassemblement National on the floor of the Assembly, trying to kind of position themselves at once against the majority, but also against the far right. And I think there are some real challenges to come. Of course, we will see the Macronist majority attempt to disrupt the unity on the left. We will see them trying to, encourage the Parti Socialiste to kind of shift slightly from France Insoumise or even the Greens. And they may well go to those kind of people when they're looking to try and build these majorities on a case-by-case basis. Of course, we know that they will form kind of parliamentary groupings, probably vote as a bloc. People like the Communist Party, they have too few to form a grouping, so they will likely have to join the France Insoumise grouping. The Parti Socialiste may well maintain a separate one, and likewise the Greens, and have this kind of ongoing alliance. But I think there are some great victories for NUPES. We've seen some, really interesting new figures entering Parliament. Of course, Rachel Keke, a brand new kind of figure who, of course, has led this real activist campaign. Will be an inspiring figure to feature in the Assembly. And it will shake up a lot of these kind of old certainties. So it should bring a lot of debate back to the floor of the Assembly. No longer just a kind of talking shop where things get rubber stamped by an absolute majority. This really does bring a lot of power back to the Assembly from the executive. And it will be very interesting to see how that functions.
Andrew, finally, just to sum this all up, if you like, is Emmanuel Macron and is the National Assembly now just a lame duck?
It's a challenge. In some ways, it will be a lame duck if Macron takes a hostile attitude to it. And we know, of course, he has a year before he can dissolve it and try and call an election again. That would be very unusual within the Fifth Republic. We may well see more of this 49.3, the presidential prerogative used to try and drive things through. Really, a lot is going to depend on the role of the Republicans as kingmakers. I would imagine that Nicolas Sarkozy, of course, this grand impresario of the centre-right, his phone may well be hot this morning as he tries to kind of work the influence across various things. I think it's really going to come down to whether Macron is able to cobble together a working majority on some sort of competence and supply arrangement with the centre-right and Les Républicains, or whether they will hold out and remain a party of opposition. There is going to be a lot more fireworks, a lot more political manoeuvring in Parliament, a lot more political stunts as well, I should think, with motions of censure, calls to the Constitutional Committee, and all the rest of it as well. But I think we're in for a very interesting session of Parliament, and it's really down to this alliance building, whether Macron will be able to make it function for his majority.